What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys to my very own team selection for the upcoming GameWeek 15. So yes, a lot of news actually has to take place. The press conferences on Thursday and Friday are going to be integral to our team selection, but don't worry, I'll be giving you guys an updated final team selection coming up on Friday just because there's going to be so much news. However, I still wanted to create this video and this team selection a little bit earlier on than usual. Going to release this on Wednesday instead of the usual Thursday kind of time slot. And the reason for that is the price rises have been pretty volatile this week. So I wanted to give you guys an update on my team selection in case you guys can't afford these moves, and therefore you can do them a little bit earlier. Now, as with every team selection, I'm going to take a quick look at GameWeek 14, but if you guys have watched my kind of team review in the transfer plan yesterday, just skip ahead as I'll be going through it very quickly. Then I'm going to move on to the transfer plan heading into GameWeek 15, which potentially is going to be from -4 hit, and with 2 game weeks to go to the second wildcard, that might be slightly risky. Then to kind of wrap it up, I'm going to be giving you guys the GameWeek 15 team selection if I do make those confirmed transfers. So that's something you guys are interested in? Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So first things first, the European competitions will be taking place tonight as I'm recording this video on Tuesday evening. Those Champions League fixtures haven't completed yet, so please make sure that you guys monitor that situation. And obviously if a player gets injured in those games, I can't really react to it in this video. But I'll be making more videos coming up this week, so don't worry, I will address those injuries. But the reason I'm comfortable kind of recording this video on Tuesday instead of the usual Wednesday or Thursday is because the European competitions, the Champions League, the Europa League, and the Conference League have their last group stage games tonight and tomorrow, and also on Thursday, and most of the Premier League teams have actually wrapped up qualification. So for example, take Man City, Pep Guardiola came out anyway and said that Haaland won't be featuring against Sevilla because they've already qualified and therefore you get the night off. Now the only team to kind of monitor is probably going to be Spurs. If you guys do own a Harry Kane, a Heung-min Son, they have to win their fixture to qualify and therefore they're going to play a pretty strong starting 11. Another team to watch out for is going to be the Liverpool assets, a little bit hit or miss at the current moment, but because they've already qualified and they have to beat Napoli, I think 4-0 to progress first in the group, that's not that likely and therefore they might play a second string squad. Then on Thursday night, just monitor the situation with the playing time and the injuries and you should be good to go for the GameWeek 15 deadline. Now, I just want to give you guys some context because you might be asking me why I'm recording this before the Champions League games have completed, and that's your answer. But now going over a quick review of GameWeek 14, drop in the comments down below, did you guys actually get a green arrow for GameWeek 14? I think you guys would have been kind of rare if you did get a green arrow because unfortunately myself and a lot of FPL Twitter ended up getting a red. So luckily that red arrow wasn't too big, went from about 150k places to 172k places, so about a red arrow of 22k places. So GameWeek 14 we scored 63 points, a 4.4 million rank overall for the game week, which isn't that great and that understands the red arrow. But in terms of overall ranking, pretty happy with it still, but come GameWeek 16 or after GameWeek 16, really want to try get into the top 100k. Then in terms of the transfer plan, 1 free transfer and 3.3 million in the bank, so massive amount of money to make a significant upgrade. Now starting off on our bench, the only thing that you guys have to know about the bench is that Kurt Zouma will be coming off for the injured Haaland. I just want to show you what my starting 11 was going to GameWeek 14. Other than that though, we got really lucky on Solanke, also Danny Ward I guess. Danny Ward started the fixture against Man City pretty strong, but then conceded to Kevin De Bruyne. But with Solanke, and kind of his striker colleague ended up getting 2 goals, so I was really lucky that it actually blanked on our bench. Then heading on to our starting 11, and the back line is simply perfect. Clean sheets all around. Pope and Trippier racking up a clean sheet, and then Trippier getting an assist and 2 bonus points. Then Anderson and Cancelo getting a clean sheet respectively. So in terms of our defensive department, couldn't kind of gone better in terms of our teams. Yes, maybe a Cancelo attacking return or an Anderson attacking return would have been quite nice, but I always take my defenders getting a full round of clean sheets. Then heading onto midfield department, obviously Mo Salah became our captain when we did get news pre-deadline that Haaland will be missing. Easy switch to Mo Salah and he got 7 points doubled to 14. Now other than that though, in terms of midfield department, the only kind of assets that return more points were going to be Saka and Martinelli in that 5-0 win of Arsenal was Nottingham Forest. Now when I do say Arsenal won 5-0, I might have expected Saka and Martinelli to get more returns, Martinelli only getting 1 goal, Saka getting 1 assist, but do remember that Saka was substituted around the 20-minute mark. So we'll be discussing Saka in the upcoming talkie point, all about his injury and the latest injury news. Then in terms of Wilfried Zaha, my patience is kind of running a little bit thin. Picked up another yellow card in GameWeek 14, ending him on 1 point. Andreas Pereira against Everton was quite disappointed that Fulham didn't score, had so many chances, especially Mitrovic who are kind of just roping right now. Mitrovic had so many shots and therefore might have been a little bit unlucky not to score. But overall Fulham played pretty well in that 0-0 draw to Everton, but I would have liked some more returns. Then you guys can obviously see Erling Haaland 0 points, wasn't even on the bench for that fixture in GameWeek 14, and I'll talk about the latest injury news in the next talking point. But as you guys can see, in terms of our 63 points to defense, this was a super defense heavy gaming for us. Mo Salah getting 14 points though was quite nice, but I felt really hard done by the Saka in for Foden transfer. Now if you guys did manage to keep Foden, had this question over my Discord server, if you guys still do have Foden, I definitely just keep hold of him. Don't really think the 3 points that you gained for the Saka move were worth the transfer, and therefore I think you guys might have actually got a little bit lucky if the website crashed and you couldn't do the move. But let me know how you guys did in Game Week 14. Was it a green arrow? Was it a red arrow? And are there any kind of good stories or horror stories about the website crashing and your transfers going through or not? You guys can let me know all about that good stuff in the comments down below. Now before going on to our actual transfer plan, I want to give you guys some context about how the Game Week 15 team is currently setting up. The reason I always do this is I think it's really integral to see the background, to kind of monitor the team currently and see what changes you guys can make your team selection better. Now in terms of the bench for the upcoming game week, I think it pretty much picks itself. Danny Ward against Everton away, a little bit of a tougher game there. Everton don't really score that many goals, but away from home I don't really trust Danny Ward. Then Andreas has Man City, super tough game on paper, definitely the worst fixtures you guys can have in the Prem at the moment, and that's why Andreas is an easy bench. We then have Anderson, so Andreas and Anderson will both be on the bench. Always confuse those two names, but Anderson has West Ham away, which is a little bit of a tougher game. Now obviously I could always start Anderson. I mean, West Ham away isn't the worst fixture in the world. They're not exactly the most attacking side this Premier League season, but their Crystal Palace defense hasn't also been that great. Then finally Neco Williams, who was actually rotated in Game Week 14, came off the bench though for 1 point appearance, but against Brentford at home, I still don't trust him. But now going to our starting 11, and the reason I'm benching Danny Ward is because Nick Pope will be between the sticks. Southampton away is definitely not a bad fixture on paper. Southampton have been struggling to actually score this Premier League season. And over the past couple of game weeks, you guys have seen how good Newcastle have been. We then have Cancelo against Fulham, which I honestly think might even be a Campsy consideration. Yes, Fulham's attacking stats aren't as bad for a newly promoted side, but Man City's defensive stats are always going to be top. Now what I will be seeing tonight is that if Cancelo does start in that fixture against Sevilla, because I do hope that he is rested with the Premier League games coming thick and fast. Now in terms of that fixture expectation, definitely a clean sheet on the cards, and attacking return should hopefully be there, and that's why I think I could even captain him. Similar play in terms of clean sheets and kind of attacking potential is going to be Trippier, our next option. Mentioned this with Nick Pope, but Newcastle are looking like a great side. Trippier is an amazing option, might even be the best defensive option to own at the current moment, and that's a lovely fixture coming up. Then our final defender to go for is going to be Kurt Zuma against Crystal Palace at home. Now we'll be starting Wilfried Zaha currently, so I'm kind of playing the odds here, either hoping for West Ham clean sheet or that Wilfried Zaha scores. Now you guys can see that I've opted for Zuma over Anderson. I could play the odds here, I don't own a Jared Bowen, maybe hope for a Crystal Palace clean sheet, but honestly, West Ham's defense has been pretty strong over these opening couple game weeks. I guess Kurt Zuma always offers that attacking threat as he did in Game Week 13 if I do recall, but I hope that he can maybe get us some points. Now moving into the midfield department, I'm going to start off with Mo Salah against Spurs away. Now Liverpool's stats, you guys will see in the Ultimate Guide coming out tomorrow. Their attacking stats are still pretty strong, and that's why I still do trust Mo Salah. Now that Spurs team is going to look to rebound after a poor run of games, and it might be a good time to play them or a bad time because this might be a form changer fixture. But still, Salah currently in my team, I have no problem with that as a premium midfielder. At least he scored in Game Week 14, which might give him some confidence. Now we'll also be watching the game that Liverpool do face tomorrow against Napoli at home. I do hope that Salah might get rested, but to be honest, he also might just feature. As long as he does get subbed off early or comes out of that fixture kind of unscathed, uninjured, I think this game might be quite a good one for Liverpool. Now I have said this continuously throughout this Premier League season, but Liverpool always do raise their game against the better teams, and that's what's going to be interesting to see what the result of this fixture is. Now the next two midfielders I'm going to kind of link together because they have the same fixture. It's Saka and Martinelli against Chelsea away. Now on paper Chelsea away looks like a terrible game, but they've actually been conceding a few over this past couple of game weeks, as you guys would have seen in Game Week 14 against Brighton. But the big kind of injury news currently is that Saka might be fit, might not be fit. It's kind of up in there at the current moment. I do not trust Arteta in the press conference, so I do actually think that he might give us some false information as he looks to play some mind games. But on current inspection, I do think that Saka will probably miss Game Week 15. I just don't really know why they will risk him. They have some other assets that could kind of slot in that wide position. And you don't want Saka to make that injury worse with the World Cup coming up. So my kind of prediction is that Saka might be missing for Game Week 15. Wait for the press conference, but please don't trust Arteta as he might be playing mind games. Then in terms of Martinelli, perfectly fine playing him. Even if Saka's fit, I'm perfectly fine playing Saka because Chelsea away is a good fixture in my opinion. Now the final midfielder to go for is going to be Wilfried Zaha. Has a fixture against West Ham away. Tough game on paper. You guys have seen the West Ham defensive stats in my ultimate guides. They definitely are top 5 defense. Now added to that the fact that he's probably going to get a yellow card in this fixture anyways. He might even be a sell for me to be honest. Now the big thing about Crystal Palace is that away from home and Wilfried Zaha in general away from home, they're simply not up to scratch, and therefore if this game was a home game I would be more confident. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Just hope that he maybe scores if Zuma doesn't get a clean sheet. Now finally going on to our forward department, and right now I'm going to start with Erling Haaland. Currently have my Campsy armband on him because if he is going to be fit, please remember that Man City do play the first game of Game Week 15. So if we do get news that he's going to be starting, he will definitely be my captain. Now in terms of the latest news from Pep Guardiola currently today, which is going to be Tuesday, he said that Haaland definitely won't feature against Sevilla in the Champions League, but he is semi-confident that he might be back for Fulham. Now as with kind of every manager, the "we will see" comment is always going to be added to this, so just remember that Haaland might actually be out for Fulham at home. But as I said earlier on, they do play the first game of Game Week 15, so let's hold thumbs for some early team news. Now the next striker to go for is going to be Mitrovic against Man City. Terrible game on paper. Yes, Mitrovic might actually score on this one if we do sell him, but I think the right time to jump off on those Fulham assets is going to be this game week. So I don't really have some high expectations here. I actually think that Mitrovic will probably blank, and that's why he's on my sell list. Then the final forward to go for is going to be Solanke. So hopefully now that Solanke's colleague won't be scoring the goal, Solanke is allowed to score again against Leeds away. So I was quite happy to see that he did start in game week 14, played basically the whole fixture, even though he was injured a couple of days ago, and that's why he should be really fine for game week 15. Now Leeds away on paper should be quite a good game, but I'll be quite interested to see how Bournemouth address it, because Leeds just beat Liverpool. But overall, in terms of the team structure, definitely some yellow flags are on the cards here. We've got Saka and Erling Haaland, both yellow flagged, and then we have a play like a Mitrovic with the Man City fixture. So now you guys can kind of understand why I was potentially looking at a minus for it. I just think the -4 might not be that bad. If you guys look at my bench, the bench options probably won't get that many points, and that's why -4, even with 2 game weeks to go, might be worth it at the end of the day. But let me know what you guys think about this current starting 11. Do you think it's good enough to get a green arrow in game week 15? Probably not. So now let's look at some transfer plans. So now going on to the transfer plan for the upcoming game week 15, and unfortunately there's a lot of kind of unknowns at the current moment. Saka's injury is unknown, Haaland's injury is unknown, and that's why I'm going to give you guys my most kind of concrete scenario in terms of the transfer plan. Now what I will say is that I'll be giving you guys a final team selection on Friday after the press conferences, hopefully. With all the news absorbed, I'll give you guys some updates, but please make sure that you guys are on the deadline stream on Saturday, 1 hour before the deadline, to get the maximum amount of team news as possible. Now there's an expectation of some early team news because there are kind of 4 games happening just after the deadline, so I'm pretty sure we'll get at least 1 or 2 teams. But going on to my transfer plan for the upcoming game week, and the first player I want to talk about is Erling Haaland, because to be honest, even if he's out for game week 15, I'll probably will keep him for game week 16. So right now Pep Guardiola said that he might be back for game week 15, so what I'm kind of assuming is that if he isn't back for game week 15, he'd definitely be back for game week 16 against Brentford at home. So for that reason, I'm perfectly fine with kind of benching Haaland this game week, have him back for game week 16, and that's how I'll captain him. Now there are some reasons for that. The first one is that I have a lot of money in the bank. I don't really want another option. Maybe a De Bruyne could be an asset, but I want to lose the money on Erling Haaland, especially when he doesn't have a World Cup and he can rest. So what I'm assuming here is that Erling Haaland will be back for game week 16, but obviously if he's not going to be back for game week 16, Guardiola comes out and says that he'll be out until the end of the World Cup. We might actually have to transfer him out, but I don't know for who. But let's go back to my normal transfer plan, and this is kind of the concrete scenario, almost just benching Haaland if he's not going to be back for game week 15, but he could be back and then we'll captain him. Now the first transfer I want to talk about is going to be the one for Phil Foden. Now Phil Foden for me is the kind of no-brainer transfer this week. If you do get early team news that Phil Foden is starting in game week 15, he'd definitely be an option I bring in and potentially captain. Now there are 2 assets that I spoke about in my transfer plan to take him out for. It's going to be Saka and also Wilfried Zaha. So right now, as I mentioned, I don't think that Saka will be back for game week 15. I think the Chelsea game might be a bit too physical. They might not want to risk him with the World Cup coming up, and therefore he's the easier transfer out. So Saka out for Phil Foden is a move that I think is worth it, even for a -4 if you guys want to go for it. Now if Saka's going to be back for game week 15, let's just say we get news that he's training on Wednesday, looks pretty happy, looks pretty strong, Arteta says he's perfectly fine, then I'll probably keep Saka and I'll take out Wilfried Zaha instead. So that's the first move that I'll probably be doing, and the second move from -4 is going to be Mitrovic out, and then there are some other replacements I spoke about. Calvert-Lewin's one option, but I'm leaning towards going for Callum Wilson. Now this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this team selection earlier than I usually do it, because Callum Wilson has already had 0.2 in price rises, and he's probably going to have a third one before the game week 15 deadline. So if you guys currently have the exact money for this move, I would lock this in, as I think this is a pretty confident move. As you guys can see in terms of fixtures, Man City away, United at home for Fulham, not great on paper, whereas Newcastle, Southampton away, and then Chelsea at home. Now similar with Arsenal, that Chelsea at home game isn't the best game in the world, but with the form Newcastle is showing, and Chelsea aren't exactly the best defensive side, I think that Callum Wilson get a couple of returns. So yes, this move will be for an additional -4, whatever move you guys want to kind of make, either the Callum Wilson one or the Phil Foden one, whatever makes it easier for you to take a hit, I'd quantify that as the hit move. Now if you guys did watch the transfer plan yesterday, there were some other moves I spoke about, a KDB in, that sort of thing, but I do think that if Phil Foden is going to start in game week 15, I think that it might even be an equal captaincy option to KDB. But let me know in the comments down below, what moves are you guys making for the upcoming game week 15? What do you think about these moves on paper? I think that it might be worth the -4, but maybe you guys think otherwise. But now finally going on to the game week 15 team selection. So if I do make those 2 moves, Callum Wilson in, Phil Foden in for a -4, this is how the team selection will kind of set up. Now first things first, on our bench, I've moved Anderson to the first bench position because I do trust them more than kind of Andreas against Man City, even though I do expect Crystal Palace to concede. So that's the first big move in terms of our bench. Then going on to the rest of our starting 11, the back line kind of picks itself. Pope, Cancelo, Trippier and Zuma are going nowhere. All relatively good fixtures, and I'm hoping for some FPL points. Then in terms of midfield department, Saka's out, Phil Foden's into our lineup, and therefore the midfield department looks relatively fine. Now yes, there might be some question marks about Zaha against West Ham. Then Martinelli also has kind of a tougher game, a derby game against Chelsea away. Then finally, in terms of our forward line, Haaland remains, we've got Wilson, and then finally Solanke. So the reason I'm kind of starting Haaland at the moment is that even if he doesn't start, he might come off the bench, and I think kind of 20 minutes, 30 minutes of Haaland is worth it against this Fulham side. Now if Haaland doesn't feature, Anderson will come off the bench, not the kind of best replacement for a bench option, but hey, maybe you'll get a clean sheet at the end of the day. Now the final talking point in terms of captaincy, it's right now going to be on Phil Foden. The reason for that is I am more confident on Phil starting than Haaland, and if you do get early team news that Phil is playing, definitely a captaincy consideration. Now these two transfers do increase my kind of starting 11 by quite a considerable margin. I think Callum Wilson's a great shout. Phil Foden could be spectacular against that poor Fulham defense. Now if you do get news that Haaland will be missing for Game Week 15, I probably won't take an additional hit. I think that Anderson's a fine replacement off the bench, as I think going from -8 might be too risky. But let me know what you guys think about the starting 11, the captaincy, the transfers, all that good stuff. And also let me know in the comments down below what you guys are doing for this upcoming Game Week 15. But this is basically wrap for the guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't like if you didn't subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. We see you guys for more videos coming up. And also the deadline stream coming up on Saturday, 1 hour before the deadline. But I'm signing off. It's Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.